Hi, I'm Kelly Taylor.
And I'm Willy Williamson.
And this is Cold Air Intake.
All right. It's not that cold today, though, Kelly.
I think he needs a pause in there.
Kelly, what do you got here today?
We got the 2022 Acura MDX.
2022?
And I'm not sure why they skipped over 2020 and 2021, but I'm guessing it's because of COVID. You know, 2020 was a real sucky year. 21 really isn't turning out any better, so I don't really blame them for going straight to 22.
Yeah, 22. I like it. It's a 2022. So tell me about this bad boy right here. The Acura MDX. What class does it fit in? Who wants it? What do you love about it?
Well, it's your typical large crossover, 3 rows. It's got the 3.5 liter single overhead cam V6, which in Honda terms is a little bit like your Dodge Hemi from, you know, still running the same block from 1955.
Yeah, exactly. So what kind of horsepower is this thing making?
It's running 290 horsepower.
Wow. Sweet. Okay, so I've driven it as well, not as much as you have, but I have had a chance to get behind the wheel of it. Kind of compared to the previous model, what's your initial thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, first of all, if you take a look at it, you can see that the hood line is like 5 centimeters longer, right? And that's a specific design thing they did. They call it increasing the dash to axle ratio by 5 centimeters.
The dash to axle ratio.
So it kind of pushes the cab backwards, gives you that sort of cab rearward look, and, you know, a really nice long hood to look out over.
So kind of similar in style to the Mazda, right? Like to the CX-9 then, with that elongated hood look, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Not quite as snouty on the front, but
yeah,
still a nice bullet grill. It's you know, and then of course this individual serving pizza here, which hides the radar sensors.
Yeah, that thing is gigantic. Oh, so that's why it's so big. There's radar sensors in there.
That's right.
Ah, so this ginormous thing actually does serve a purpose then.
It does.
All right, cool.
Aside from looking obnoxious.
Cool. So people are probably wondering why I'm standing beside this ancient Honda Pilot. You are well aware of the whole story of my Honda Pilot because I tell everyone about it, and we're going to talk about it later. But the Honda Pilot actually shares a platform with the Acura MDX, and this is my personal vehicle. So whenever, you know, people often wonder, you know, what do celebrity car reviewers like us drive when no one's looking? Well, in my case, the Honda Pilot that cost me $1 that I've got a little more money in that into it. Now we'll talk about that later, but you know, I paid $1 for this, okay, and it does a lot of what this does.
Or you can get about 74,000 of these. For one of these.
Is that how much the ticket is on this thing?
With taxes, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you know, a lot of people say that sounds like a lot of money.
Sure,
but
yeah.
In terms of the competition, it's not really. I mean, it's about the same money as an Audi Q7, right? It's a little bit less than a BMW X5, which isn't a 3-row, by the way.
You're right.
And then, you know, the BMW X7 is, you know, probably 20 or 30 more than this.
So what kind of premium are you paying? Well, they haven't updated the Honda Pilot yet, which I'm assuming will be in when it's actually 2022 or even 3. What kind of difference what kind of premium are you paying for the Acura brand as opposed to a Honda? Is it like $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000?
It's probably about $10,000.
Yeah.
Because this starts at about where the Pilot leaves off.
Okay, so you could get like the Black Edition Pilot for sort of $62,000, and this starts at around there.
Right.
Okay, so compared to a Pilot then, why is this so much better? Like, what makes an Acura so much better than a Honda? Is it?
It is if you think it is. You know, I mean, it's more luxurious. You got the perforated leather. You got 5 centimeters more legroom in the third row.
5 centimeters.
Right? So for those people that you really don't like, you want to put them back there, you know, they'll be a little bit more comfortable.
You're going to make me try and climb in that third row, aren't you?
Oh, you darn tootin'.
I've lost a bit of weight, thank you for noticing, but I don't think I lost enough to fit comfortably in the third row of this thing, but we're going to find out. So what we're going to do now is our master videographer and director of photography, Mike, is going to follow Kelly around with a drone a bit here in my beautiful neighborhood. Kelly's gonna take a nice leisurely drive in the Acura MDX, and I'm gonna get in the MDX, and I probably won't be as leisurely about the whole process. But let's go. Let's get on the road.
You're gonna thrash this thing, aren't you?
I'm gonna thrash it. Yeah.
Yes.
I like when you put it in sport mode and it makes a rah, rah, rah sound. I like that.
Yeah.
Rah. One more time. Okay. So we're ready to roll. Kelly, jump in.
Okay, here we go. Let's get this thing rolling. Adjust a seat, 12-way power adjust. electric tilt and telescope steering wheel. So this thing has the surround view cameras on it, also known as God view. Lets you see everything around the vehicle. So if you're trying to back through some difficult spot or whatever, you can even see Willy's feet in the picture there now. All right, here we go. So as we mentioned, the 3.5 liter single overhead cam V6 puts out 290 horsepower. They're coming out late in the year with a Type S, which will crank that up to 345 horsepower, you know, for that soccer team that absolutely has to get there on time. Now, a couple things I really like about this car. The instrument panel is entirely digital. There's no mechanical gauges whatsoever. And the center display is a 12.5 inch high definition display. That's where you get the camera view. It's also where you get all the radio information and the navigation, the map and stuff. What I don't like is it's controlled by this touchpad down here, which is it's a bit of a learning curve to get used to. Basically, you run your fingers across and you have to look at the screen and see which function is lighting up, and then you push it, and then that changes, you know, whatever function you just set up. The one thing that is nice about this system, rather than some of the other systems that have used the same kind of true touchpad, they call it, is they've built in a little brace here for your wrist. It's about a 4 inch by 3 inch protrusion of metal above the center console, where you can rest your wrist, and then you have nice steady hand for controlling it. It's still not the greatest. I kind of prefer the knobs, like on a Mazda HMI or a Mercedes-Benz even. But what I do like, and this is something that Honda's done lately, is you actually get a volume control, and you get an actual rocker switch here to you know, change stations. So you don't have to use the touchpad for everything, which is kind of nice. So that V6 is mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Comes with paddle shifters on the steering wheel, and Honda's button controller for the transmission. So you got a park button, a lever for reverse, a button for neutral, and then a button for drive, and you can select drive and sport. One of the things you'll notice as soon as you get into it, in the center, is this great big knob with an Acura logo on it called Dynamic Mode. And you have a selection between snow, comfort, normal, and sport. And what it does is it changes the response of the transmission, the engine, and the super handling all-wheel drive system. For, you know, either a sporty response or a reduced response for snow. Because, you know, you don't want to necessarily start spinning your wheels in snow. Now, the super handling all-wheel drive system is pretty cool. It can vary torque up to 70% to the rear. And of that 70% to the rear, you can switch it 100% of that from side to side, depending on what your steering situation is. So if you're turning hard to the right, it will speed up, add more torque to the rear left to help push you through the corner. And that's a really handy thing. You can see it on the, or more precisely, someone who's in the back seat looking over your shoulder can see it on the dash when you've got the super handling all-wheel drive setup showing on the dash. It'll show you how much torque is going to each wheel. One nice touch over here is a pop-up panel for charging, and it's got either a USB-B connector or a USB-C connector for charging your smartphone. But it also has, if you have wireless charging, has a wireless charging pad right here underneath this brace for the true touchpad. Okay, let's switch it out to comfort and see. Oh yeah, gets a little softer, a little bit more comfortable, hence the word comfort. and it's not quite as trucky. You know, this vehicle in normal mode, it handles really well, but goes over bumps and it feels a little bit like a truck. But in comfort mode, it's pretty sweet actually. Kind of retards the throttle response a little bit, but again, that's part of comfort, right? You don't want to be whipping your passengers' heads back into the headrests. Now, when you come to a stop, you got two options. You can either hit park and then turn the vehicle off, or you just turn the vehicle off. It'll automatically go into park. We got to try and get you in the back seat.
All right, let's see what happens. Does it have a power button that does it, or do you have to do it manually?
I'm gonna try first.
There's no way I'm getting in there. Actually, that's not bad now that you're in there. Whoa. Okay, let's see if I can sit in front of you. How are you? Oh, good news. Get out, I want to try. Holy, my size 13 barely even fit in here. Oh, look at that. Okay, so for those of you at home, I am 6 feet tall, and this morning, after my blueberry smoothie, I weighed 239 pounds.
Okay.
I'm in! I'm in!
But can you close the seat?
You know what? It's not bad. There's a little thing here. See this? For your head. So I'm sitting dead straight up. Like, holy, this is nice. I'm not going to be able to do any yoga back here, but it's plenty of room.
Like you can do yoga.
I could do yoga. Okay, turn the camera off while I get out.
No.
You grab that handle here, then you... No. Maybe if I open the sunroof, then it can stand up. Oh! Oh! So I'm in the 2022 Acura MDX. And I got to tell you, Acura has really made a bold move with this, their flagship vehicle. In the bigger SUV market, it's becoming increasingly more competitive. Having that third row of seats, you may not use it every day, but when you need it, that can be a real deal breaker for some people, particularly if you've got that third child and you want to keep them a little bit segregated when you get out on the road. I think the word of the day when you talk about the Acura MDX is serenity. Okay, it really is one of those vehicles that you can get in and just kind of leave the world behind. It's nice and quiet. It's very smooth. One of the best way I'd heard to describe a luxury vehicle many years ago is it's like a bank vault inside of here. Not that I've been inside many bank vaults that I'll tell you about, but it is very quiet in here, and there's distinct luxury feel that the only way that they can obtain that is by putting a little bit thicker glass and a little bit thicker of the mats of the insulation to deaden the sound, they're a little more careful about vibration and how certain components work with one another to remain quiet. So now we're on a fairly crappy road here, out in the arm of Springfield, home of the goat path. And we're cruising along at 60 kilometers an hour, and we're not. I'll tell you what, if we did this same road at the same, I'm going 62 kilometers an hour. If we were putting along at 62 kilometers an hour in my 2000 Silverado on this road, it would feel like the dashboard was about to fall out. Like I would have to dial it back on this road to about 35, maybe 40 tops. And then I'm in the area where I might lose a filling and my glasses might fall off while I'm driving. Whereas in this beautiful MDX, we're just cruising along as though we are on Rodeo Drive, if you will. So now we're gonna head out on the highway here and we're gonna rug it. And there's the speed limit. So this bad boy gets to 100 kilometers an hour, 0 to 60 km in 6.4 seconds, I believe. No, watch it, watch it. Like it gets back to the speed limit quick. You can definitely feel it. You can have some fun with these paddle shifters. I don't know how much the average person uses them. For me, it's primarily a commute. It's a country drive. There's a little bit of city for me, but I did have an errand that I had to run in this vehicle, and it kind of took me through a couple parts of the city. When I was in the city, I did have the opportunity to play around a bit, to rally drive around town a bit, if you will. And I got to tell you, this is the car to do it in. Even though it's big, and even though it's wearing right now snow tires, it's got the Continentals, which gripped magnificently when we had that little run of snow at the end of the winter there. Winter didn't want to leave yet. But the tires aren't as good as the full-on summer tires that would be on it, but still pretty good. This thing grips amazing around corners, like it's on Velcro. Like really, like for a big, heavy luxury SUV, it does have definitely some of that Honda Formula One DNA in it. You can feel it. So Kelly, I think we both probably agree that this thing's awesome. And we seem to agree about the things that we don't like. We both are not huge fans of the tech on it.
The true touchpad.
The true touchpad.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's a learning curve there, and one of the questions that came up is, are we just too old to adopt this kind of new technology? The reality is, we're in our early 50s. We are not too old.
We're not too old, and road safety is road safety. Road safety doesn't know age variance, right? And if you have to take your highs off the road to fumble around making sure that the pointer's in the right thing before you push the button, I mean, that's just distraction.
Okay, so do you think, given time, that you could get away from that and you could be more natural using that touchpad without looking away, or is it just designed in such a way that you cannot operate it without looking at your hand and looking at the screen?
Well, I mean, there are some tricks you can use to simplify things, right? Like you can get all your favorites set up so that just sort of toggling back and forth between stations. That's not really much of a problem. It's when you're trying to do something a little bit more exotic, like you're trying to find your next cheeseburger, right? And you're going into the navigation system. That's where it starts to get a little confusing. And the systems where you don't have to pull off the road to use it safely and still be able to do things, those are the ones that I really
absolutely, for sure. Now, with that in mind, though, that is not a deal breaker on this car. This is still a magnificent SUV. Do we agree on that?
It's got loads of power, loads of torque. I mean, it locks up and goes hard.
For sure.
Right? And it's eminently luxurious, and I think it's price competitive for its class.
Absolutely, for sure. And it's a looker.
It is.
So what's the verdict, Kelly? Yes or no? Yay or nay?
Definitely a yay.
Oh, absolutely. I just can't get enough of this. It makes me excited about Acura. It really does. I mean, they seem to have found their mojo again. they always had that kind of, there was something exciting, a little extra about an Acura. From
Well, they're really bringing in the Honda racing DNA into these
absolutely,
vehicles, right?
for sure.
So,
It really does feel like an Acura now. It has the looks, it has the power, has the luxury, and in addition to that, it's got a ton of room, you know, which is what everyone's looking for right now.
and as you've just seen, if you're going to put Willie in the third row, plan an extra 10 minutes for your commute just
That's
for
right.
in and out time.
And remember, folks, nobody puts baby in the corner. All right, Mr. Know-It-All, we're done now with this thing, but I have one question for you.
Oh God.
What does MDX stand for?
Multi-dimensional luxury.
How do you know that? Thanks, folks. Have a great day. Good job, buddy. Okay, now I think what you should do is in the video, you should have sirens like, and then a fire truck pull up, and then the jaws of life or something like there's comedy there.